Okay, so now we're going to work on our to-do list, and there's different components to this, so we're going to break it up and do little by little as we go. So the first thing we're going to do is actually we're going to put the date and the time. We're going to display it on the screen, so it's going to look something like this. So let's work on that. Okay, so what we need to do is, you guessed it, create our init function. And it's going to be similar to motivational quote. We're also going to pass in master. And we can also take this as well. We're doing the exact same thing over here. And then again, passing in master helps us to create that like parent-child relationship between our frame and our notebook. So then what we're going to do, as you can see, is that there's a day, date, and time, and we're going to create variables for that. So self.day, self.date, and self.time. So what we're going to use is actually TK has this StringVar class that's going to be really helpful. So let me copy that here. So the StringVar class helps us to dynamically update values in our GUI. So for example, when the day changes, it's going to update that for us, which is a little bit different from how motivational frame worked, because motivational frame, we clicked a button and then it updated. This, for example, when the date changes, it's going to change for us. So StringVar is really good at like dynamically updating the label or whatever widgets that we'll end up using that's using StringVar. That will be in the vocabulary document. There will be a quiz question below on it. Okay, so now what we can do is actually let's create our function update date and time. So let's define update, date and time. Okay. So that is good. So I guess first what we got to do is we need to get today's date and then we can set it. So today's date is, we can use datetime to help us. And it has that today function. And please import it at the top for us. So we can use today and then let's set it. So self.day.set. So let's set day, date, and time. So we're going to set that. So then what we can use is we can pass into day, and then they have that string format time, the strf time function, which is going to help us. We got today, and then it's like, how do we want to display it on the screen? So that can help us do that. So let me just stop yapping and start typing. strf time. So it's going to be like so. Okay, and then what we pass in here is how we want to format it. So I had to look up the different format codes to figure out what I liked the most. So I have a sticky note on my desk. So I'll be looking at that to pass in the right format code. So for example, we have %A. So this format code helps us to, like if we want Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it helps us to get that entire day. And then we also have, the time. I meant date. Okay, so then what we want to pass in here is %B and then %D. So that's going to help us get the month and the day. And then finally what we're going to pass in here is like the time. And this is the format code for time. So I did not memorize these format codes. Okay, so that's it for update date and time. So what we can do is we can go back to our init. And let's actually display all that great work that we did on the screen. So we can use tk.label to help us display this. So let's do that. So self dot. We're going to have like a date label, and then we're going to pack it. And then we're going to have a time label. We're also going to pact that. But the date label, we can use tk.label, pass in self. And then, okay, so the text, what we're going to do is we can do self.day.get. And you know what? Let's use F to help us format that. Because, yeah, we have the date. We have the day. I think I want to put a comma and then add the date. Okay, noise. And then we'll do something similar for time, except we're actually going to use text variable. And the reason why we'll use text variable is because like we want this to be dynamic, and time's a little bit different because as like the minute changes, we want that to be reflected on the screen. Like we want our time to be accurate. So for example, yeah, but this time we're going to do self.time.get.
Are you sure?
Yeah, and let's see how that looks. I'm feeling a little shaky. Okay, nice. So Wednesday, April 10th, but then the time label.pack, self.time.get, tk.label, text variable equals that, time.set. So why isn't time displaying, huh? So we got the day and the date. So let's think about this. Okay, y'all, so this was me struggling to figure out why time was not appearing on the screen. So instead of self.time.get, it's actually self.time. But you know, that's all a part of programming. It's trial and error. So I later figured it out, took a break, and came back. Okay, y'all. So now that we have date and time properly displayed on the screen, let's work on our to-do list. So what we can do is let's create a variable called to-do list, and it's going to start off empty because, you know, we don't have any to-dos. But then what we want to do is we actually want to load the to-dos that maybe the user has already made in a previous session. So what we're going to do is create a function called load to do. And let's actually create that under here, pass in self. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to load the to-dos, but if the to-dos are not there, because we're going to put all our to-dos in a file. And if the file's not there, we're going to throw a file not found error, and then we'll, let's just do up to that point. Okay, try, we'll come back to that. So the exception will be a file not found error, and we'll just skip if we can't find the file. So now what we're going to do is try to open that file. And what we're going to use is Pickle to help us. And let me show you what I mean. With open to do list.pkl. Okay, we're going to read it in binary mode and store it as F. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to try to open TodoList.pkl. So you might not have seen that PKL extension before, but you use that with Pickle. Pickle is the way that we're going to load our to-dos, get our to-dos, read our to-dos. So basically it's very efficient in Python if you want to like, and especially, you know, there's some like safety problems with it, but for this program, it's perfect for what we need. So yeah, basically it's an efficient way to like write and read items to a file, and it does it in binary mode. So we're saying we want to open that file, read it in binary mode, and store it in F. So then our self.to-do list is going to be equal to whatever we load from that file. And what we got to do is import Pickle in order to use that. Okay, and that's it for load to do. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a whole bunch of widgets to our screen. So let's go up here and let's create our entry box for adding to-dos. And let's call it self.todo entry. If you can spell. Okay, to do entry. And then we're going to use entry. We're using new widgets, y'all. And we're going to pass in self. And for the width, I liked 40 when I was playing around with it. And then we go and pack it. Self.todo entry dot pack. And then I like to add some padding just to add some space. Padding in the Y direction. And we're going to add padding of 10 pixels. Okay, let's keep going. So now we're going to have actually the list box for displaying to-dos. Okay, so let's call this to-do box. Self.todo box is equal to tk.listBox, and then we're going to pass in self, and the width is going to be 40. Great, we're doing great. To do. Am I hyping myself up or you up? Okay, dot pack. And then we're going to add padding in the Y direction. That's going to be equal to 10. Great. So then what we're going to do is let's add all of our buttons. Buttons for, we're going to add, delete, edit, and also check to-do list items. So self.add button is going to be equal to, we can use tk.button to help us. We're going to pass in self. So the text of this, let's have that be add, keep it simple. And then our command is going to be something we create later, but our command is going to be self.add_to-do. So then, okay, so we have the add button, and then let's pack it on the screen. Like so. And then I'm trying to think. I think I don't care about padding too much for this. So let's copy this and do something similar. So we have an add button. Let's go delete. And then the text is going to be delete, and then we're going to have delete to do. Let's copy this, copy paste, baby. And then we're going to have edit button, and then let's call this edit and edit to do. Okay, finally, I told y'all it's a lot of widgets. It's nice that it's copy and paste though. So add, delete, edit, and then check. Have you completed this to do? And then I think what I want to call this is actually update, because basically you can like check and uncheck. So then check button dot pack. Okay, great. We added all those widgets. Let's celebrate. That was a lot of widgets. So go us. Okay. So now that we have that, let's work on populating the list box that we created with our to-dos. So what we're going to do is call self.update to-do box. And now let's work on that logic. Let's define update to-do box, like so. Okay, so let's work on update to-do box. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to clear everything that's in our to-do box. So at one time, I don't have more than like 10 to-dos. So this is not, really efficient. It's not like you have like a million to-dos and you have to clear everything. But I was getting a problem before. So this really helps to like make sure we're on a clean slate in our list box. So let's do that. So self.to-do box that we worked on earlier, what we're going to do is delete, and we're going to delete everything. So everything from T0 to tk.end, and I love using that constant tk.end. You'll see me use that again. Now what we can do is let's iterate over each of our items in self.todolist. And what we can do is use a for loop. So for task tuple and self.to-do list. So every to-do list, what it's going to have is it's going to have the to-do list item and then the status. Is it done or not? So next, let's get the task and store that in a variable called task. So we can say task is equal to task tuple, and we want what's at the 0th. Ooh, girl, you going through every bracket, but bruh. Okay, task tuple, and we can get what's at the 0th position. So let's also get that task state. So if the length of task tuple, if the length of task tuple is greater than 1, then we're going to get whatever is at task tuple of 1. Else, it's going to be false. Okay, great. If the item is checked, we will insert a check mark emoji. If the item is not checked, we are chilling. So let me show you what I mean. If check self.to-do box dot insert, at the very end, we can use F to help us format the string. We're gonna have the task. And then I thought the check mark emoji was super cute, but you don't have to put the check mark emoji. You can put like complete, like so or something like that. But I like the check mark. Who doesn't like emoji? A little space in between for readability. So if it's checked, and then I want to store that in a variable called checked. Great. Else, what we're going to do is self.to-do box dot insert at the end. So basically, if the item is checked, what we're going to do is we're going to add a check mark. If the item is not checked, then we're just going to display the task. And that is it for Update To Do Box. Now, as promised, we're going to work on Add To Do, Delete To Do, Edit To Do, and Check To Do. So let's do that. Let's first work on Add To Do. If you can spell. Okay, so this is a button. So when the user clicks on this button, let's actually get the to do. So for example, the user just typed something into that like entry box, and let's actually get what they typed. So our to do is going to be self.to-do entry, because that's where they typed it in, and we're going to get that. So every to do is going to have the to do item and also its state. State is whether or not the task is done. We can use true and false to represent state. So true is done and false is not done. So if there's a to do, let's actually add that to do to our to-do list. So the state is going to start off as false because the task has not been completed yet. So we have to-do list dot append, and let's add the to-do, and then also its state is going to start off as false. So we also want to save our to-do list to a file, and let's create another function that can handle that logic. Self.save to-do list. Dave to-do list. Who's Dave? And let's actually work on save to-do list, just because it's going to be like 2 lines of code, so we can just knock that out right now. So let's define 2 spaces between our save to-do list. And we're going to use our handy dandy pickle. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and open that file we were talking about before. To do, what's it called? To do underscore list.pkl. And this time we're going to do it in write binary mode because we're saving something. So we want it to write to file. Let's put that in quotes. Store it into a file called f. So now we're going to use pickle.dump, and we're going to dump whatever is in self.todolist, and we're going to store it into f. Dump it into f. And that's it for save to-do list. Super, super simple. Because you see, we added to our to-do list. So then over there, we dump it. And other things we'll call save to-do list as well. So going back to add to do, let's update what we actually see on the screen. And lucky for us, we have update to do box. Woo, woo. Oh, it was supposed to be confetti. Confetti while I stretch my neck. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is, I don't know where I wrote that random letter in. So when we add a to do, we get the entry. If there's a to-do, we append it to to-do list. We save it to a file. And then what we're going to do is use update to-do box because that's going to update what we visually see in our list box. Beautiful. So then after we update the to-do box, we no longer need what the user has typed into the entry box. So what we can do is delete it. So to do entry dot delete, and what we're going to delete is everything that's in that entry box where they added the to-dos. And that is it for add to do. Okay, so now let's work on delete to do. So in order to delete something, you need to have clicked on something. So what we can do is use a try except block, and if the user has not clicked on anything, then we can like throw up a warning. So let's do, where am I typing? Try except, and then the exception we can throw, let's do index error. Yeah, because you didn't really like click on anything. But what we can do is let's display a message window that will warn the user that no item is selected. Message box dot. We're going to show warning. And we're going to have to import message box, but this is built into TK. And we can be like warning. And then the actual text we can say is no item selected. So let's have this help us import it from Taquinta. Yep, the title and the message. Okay, so now let's go back to our try. So let's get the index of where the user has selected. Index is equal to self.to-do box, and there's this thing is called course selection. Let's get the 0th position. So let's get the index of where the user has selected. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to delete that from our to-do list because, you know, the user has deleted it. So self and then dot to-do list. And we're going to delete at that index. And then finally, what we're going to do is call save to-do list because that is going to update that file since we've just deleted. So we can call self.save-to-do-list. Beautiful. And now we can also update our to-do box. So we can call update to-do box. And don't forget yourself. That laugh. Okay, and that's it for delete to do. Let's celebrate. Okay, so now let's work on edit to do. So basically you can actually edit the text of your to do just in case you misspelled something or maybe you kind of want to slightly change what your to do is. So let's do edit to do. Great. So let's use the same try except block from before, and let's display a warning to the user. So we can actually copy this from our delete to do and also the index error, because it's like if the user didn't select anything, what you trying to edit? I don't know. Okay, I don't know what that was. Okay, so let's do the same thing where we need to get where we selected. So I'll also copy that. We need to actually get that to do. So to do is equal to self dot to do box dot get at index. So when editing, some items might have a check mark, but we don't need to edit the check mark. We just need to edit the text. So there's a trick that we can do to do that, where basically, you know, our self.to-do list is the source of truth for everything. So what we can do is temporarily replace that check mark to be empty, edit our to-do, and then if that item actually has a check mark, we'll add it back in. So let's do that. So our to-do is we can actually use to-do.replace as a little hack. And if it has a space, and then don't get the space because we were adding that space for readability, okay? And then we're just gonna replace it with nothing. So now we're gonna have a dialog box pop up where the user can actually add their edit to their to-do. So, for example, our edited to-do is going to be equal to, we can use simple dialog, and we'll have to import that. Simple dialog, and it has this ask string function. So let's tell the user, hey, you can edit to do. So then let's have some text on the screen that says edit to do item. The initial value that they can edit I'm like, why doesn't it like my spelling? Initial value is equal to do. And then let's import this so we can use it. So let's import, did I not import it? Import, baby. I don't know, why is that looking weird? You know what, let's do, comes from TTK, I believe. But it's still not liking, oh, ha! Okay, a comma. The stuff we do to try and figure stuff out. Beautiful. So if the user actually edited something, what we're gonna do is self.to-do list. Let's actually update our to-do list at that index. And you know, we have a tuple. So the first thing in our tuple is actually going to be the edited to-do. And the second thing is going to be the status of our to-do. And our to-do list as the source of truth will still have that information. So at index at 1, you know, it's that 0, 1, that second thing that has the true status of it. And then finally, we just edited our to-do. Let's call our handy dandy functions in the comments, or not in the comments, in your head. Say what those handy dandy functions are in order to update the screen and update our files. So we're gonna call save to-do list. And don't forget to use self. And then let's also call self dot, is it called save to-do list? Okay, it's like, why is it red? And then it's like update to-do box. Okay, great. And that's it for edit to do. Y'all, this video is videoing. So now let's work on check to do. So let's define check to do. We pass in self. So we're going to create the same try except block from before. So what we can do, it's very similar. You're starting to see the pattern. Let's throw the same index error. Okay, great, because you gotta click on something to check it off. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is using index, we're actually going to get the task, and then since the user wants to check this, we're going to update or basically like toggle, like flip whatever they have currently. So for example, what this is gonna look like is let's get task and checked is going to be equal to self.TodoList at our index, like so, and then what we're gonna do is self.TodoList at our index is going to be equal to the task stays the same, but now we toggle whether or not it's checked. So basically what that is gonna do is just flip it. If it has, if it's false, now it's true. If it's true, now it's false, whether or not it's done. And then we're gonna do our same hippie yippee doodah, save to-do list and update to-do box. And we did it. Let's celebrate. If you're still watching this video, celebrate yourself. We are getting there. Okay, so now what we want to do, this is all looking great. We're almost done with this. So there is something that we have to do with time. So let's actually work on update time, because time is a little bit different since it changes every, second. In our app, it will change every minute. But let's update time. Update time. Okay, so update time, what we can do is we can use self.time, that was a variable we created, and we can use .set. And then as similar, what we can do is we can probably even just copy it from here. Okay, and this is what we want to update. So let's pass that in here, but then we're gonna use datetime.today. We can even just copy this. Okay, so then we get today, and then we're gonna update it with the new time as it changes every minute. And then this is going to be a function that keeps calling itself because we want to keep updating time. So for example, I know the first thing it takes in is like milliseconds, and then we're going to keep calling self.update time. Keep updating time on the screen. And then the great thing about this is that we were using text variable before. As you can see up here, text variable, boom. Oh, did I leave that there? Why did I make that a string? That does not need to be a string. And thank you, PyCharm, for letting me know that. Okay, great. Oh man, do I have to refilm that? Let's use this as a learning lesson that we are not perfect. There will be bugs in our code. Bugs in our code is okay. You just keep going. Just keep swimming. I am so annoying. Okay, so now what I want to do is let's run our code and see what we're working with. So let's run it. Any errors? Oh, I'm surprised. Okay, so I need a quote because we just worked a lot. So let's see what it got. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. Y'all, I promise my inspirational speech, it was not planned. To-do list. So you can see this is the time and the date. Let's play around with this and see if any errors pop up. So today, what do I want to do today? Oh, this is here. And we can write some goals in our to-do list. So let's say our goal is to build Python GUI app with Maya. So let's add that. Great. But let's say, I don't want to do with Maya, so let's edit it. Let's just say I want to build a GUI app. It doesn't have to be with Maya. Nice, it edits. Let's say we want to update it because, okay, I'll update it at the end because that's what we are doing. So let's delete it. Nice, it deletes. So let's say I want to walk my dog and I want to code in Python. Walk my dog, I did walk my dog, so we can update that. And then code in Python, update that. Yes, so we did it. Let's celebrate. Woohoo! That was a big woohoo. But anyway, so we've done motivational quote, we've done to-do list, and in the next video, we'll work on accomplishments. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for watching, y'all, and I'll see you in the next one.